What's up, nerds? Welcome to Cool Nerd Reviews. I'm Steve Trezza.
Scott Burnett. Ed Good.
Devin Burke.
And we are reviewing The Flash Season 1 finale.
It is done.
It is done.
I'm upset.
I think we're all upset. It was a very, very good season.
I'm not upset because it was bad. I'm upset because it's over.
Because it is over.
Let's go back.
So, what did we all think?
Oh my god, this is how you do a season finale.
This is how you do a season.
That's
first
what
season.
I'm going to say. The finale alone makes it worth the watch. This is how you do a finale. We'll get into it. Ed, what'd you think?
I absolutely loved the season. The season finale gave us infinite possibilities because they opened up infinite timelines. They
Literally,
say that-
he's not kidding.
I'm
It's
not
infinite.
kidding. Yeah, and I'm just in awe that they made certain references that they did.
Yeah.
Devin?
What do you think?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Exactly.
So how?
You guys already took the words out of my mouth,
So
so,
how'd the
what else can I
episode
say?
go?
It wasn't action-packed. It was very dramatic.
Yes.
It was very dramatic. The whole episode was very dramatic. Barry tries to go back in time to save his mother. Instead, you have him in the future/past who tells him not to, which I loved.
I love how
I thought it was great.
that's a thing that
Because
we
I
can
like
yeah, future Barry from the past. We're all like, yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, what
Yeah.
I
The thing
loved is that he future him looked over at the exact time Barry was there because he knew that he was going to be there.
Exactly.
Looks over and just does subtle
Gives
enough
him the
that like
no.
A solo pause.
and he trusted himself.
Well, the thing is, Barry and Wells talk to each other, and Wells is like, you can let me go home, but I will tell you how to save your mother. So he tells him that you have to run Mach 2 minimum, and then they send a particle in the particle accelerator, and they collide, it'll open up a wormhole. And that's how Barry goes back in time. You have 1 minute, 52 seconds.
And you get so many Easter eggs in that whole
Yeah.
span of
You
it
get,
going back.
Flash
you get,
Museum, you
you
get
get Caitlin Snow as
Killer
Frost in there.
which we'll talk about later. You get Barry in prison. So he goes back in time, and the fact that himself tells past future Barry to don't save his mother is super impactful. But the thing is, well, Wells is like, I'll tell you how to go back in time, but you gotta let me go. And he tells them how to go back in time. They're just like, oh, okay, enjoy your house forever. You're here now. We're not letting you out. Like, he just...
Yeah.
That's my only problem with it. He relied too much on their word to let him out. He didn't have to let him out.
But
No, I agree. I don't understand why. That's the only thing I didn't like about the episode was that Wells was just like, this is how you do it, and now I need to go back into my time, and everyone was just like, okay, go ahead.
So-
and like that to me was just like, come on.
Yeah.
So the only
But
thing
that's the only thing I didn't like. The whole rest of the episode.
So the only thing that
Fantastic.
I have to say about that is I don't think that Wells was necessarily trapped in there because I think he was letting them do what he needed them to do and he could have escaped that cell
I
at
like
any
that.
time
No,
because one of it, he helped build the cell. Two, he knows how to vibrate his particles to go through things.
Ooh, good segue. Speaking of vibrate, Cisco talks to Wells,
yes.
and he says the reason why he can remember the alternate timeline is because he's in tune with the vibrations of the world.
The night the particle accelerator exploded, you were affected too.
Which I thought Cisco remembering his past was just a plot device.
I
And
thought-
I was
yeah,
like,
so
I was
did I.
like, man, that's lazy writing. But this show has such a long memory that they took it back and they made him a metahuman and introduced the vibe. It is such creative storytelling.
I was very impressed.
that I was blown away.
I thought they kind of almost like pulled their ass, like, yeah, that's
Well,
it.
in New
But, like,
in New
it
52,
worked with it.
right?
It worked
comic
with it.
in comic lore in the New 52, the vibe has that in connection with the universe vibration power, which is I thought they were just
I thought
and
it was a great
fantastic.
way to fill a plot hole.
It was.
Yeah. And it wasn't even a plot hole. It was
Right.
just a plot device that took longer to develop than anybody ever saw coming.
Yep.
So that's another part of it. And then I love the two different conversations between Barry and his dad and Barry and Joe. So Barry's dad was like, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Right? Barry's dad was like, I'm fine in prison, don't go back. And then Joe was like,
Completely
you
opposite.
gotta do it.
Yeah.
And the fact, because Joe raised him and he's like, you still have to do it. And the both talks between them, not gonna lie. I cried.
Touching.
I
Touching.
cried. I
Yeah.
cried. I cried a lot. When
Especially when Barry calls Joe dad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he said, like,
God.
goodbye, dad. I was like, ah!
I
And he
cried
was like,
then, and then I cried the conversation between him and his mother. He's like,
That was very touching.
It's not going to
Very
make sense,
Yeah.
but it's me, it's Barry. And she saw it. She knew. She was
The
like,
only-
yeah, this is Barry. And he's like, I turn out all right. And then she like had her moment of closure and she died in peace.
So the only problem I have
Oh
with
man,
that scene,
I lost my
I
shit.
had one slight problem with that scene. How easily she was talking for it just being stabbed in the heart.
She
It was like,
She was mumbling a bit.
whatever.
No, but
there's,
like,
there's more.
It was for dramatic effect.
He was
Right.
back in time at the time.
I'm just saying.
So
I'm just saying.
So
All right.
it's funny because then like he doesn't save his mother, obviously. So Wells is like in his time pod getting ready to go back. And then
Best Easter egg of the
Oh,
season.
yeah. Flat
This
hat.
was my favorite part of the episode.
well, because
You
when
just
if it goes on too long, the time paradox creates a
Wormhole turns into a black
wormhole,
hole or
creates a
whatever.
singularity. So they're sitting there, and Wells is waiting to go back in time, and out flies a helmet, and it's Jay Garrick, which is such a great
it's so
Easter egg.
good.
I think it's more than an Easter egg because Jay Garrick's helmet flies out. He's the Flash in Earth 2, which I think is going to play a huge part in
and
season
the
2.
original Flash.
Yeah.
Like, just the fact that they're bringing him in is spectacular.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just think that's fantastic. And I really hope that this is how it goes through and they introduce him as a character. And I really hope they introduce him as a character in the 40s. Because that, I just think,
I think that'd
would
be
be great.
Yeah.
Like if Barry goes back to Earth 2 and he's like back in time.
They have the option to do that because they left it so
Yeah.
open,
Yeah.
which is fantastic, and it's something that Arrow didn't do.
Yeah.
So,
let's just not talk about Arrow at
Yeah.
all.
So,
but yeah.
So Barry goes back through the wormhole when you think he saved his mom, and he fucking time punches Wells through the spaceship and in the face, and he's like, "What'd you
Breaks
do?"
the pod and everything.
And the thing is, Barry's still not able to beat Wells.
Yeah.
He's not.
Anyway, so they're fighting, and then all of a sudden Wells starts to fade in and out, and it pans over, and you see Eddie had shot himself.
Wild card, bitches.
Right,
Well,
exactly.
the one thing that was crazy about that was I as soon
No
as
one saw that coming.
I did.
I did.
Absolutely. in this-
Really?
I remember
from
you
this
called
episode.
it from a few episodes ago.
But at the same time, one of the things earlier in this episode, when he's talking to Professor Stein, essentially Stein, roundabout way, says to him, "You have the ability to stop this by killing yourself."
Yeah.
He doesn't say it like that, but he says, "You are the only one that has control here."
At that time, I think, why not get a vasectomy?
Yeah,
So absolutely,
really.
Just give it the old snip and
Dude.
clip, and then Wells is just like walking. He's like in a shop right buying like pre-sliced
And
salami, and he's just like, no, and he like fades out.
It's not like he needs to take time. He doesn't need to like hurry and do that either.
So he can-
like he can do it like the next day, and he can be like vasectomy, like boom.
and he could go.
When
Bill
he found out he was related to him, I don't know why it wasn't just like, yeah, get my ball snipped, whatever.
It was like he could have gone like Bill and Ted Bogus Journey style, like, I'm thinking about getting a vasectomy later. Boom, Cage falls on Wells.
Yeah.
It's funny, he like in a pinch, he should have just been like, oh my balls, and then Wells would have died.
In a pinch.
Hey, so after that, like Eddie shoots himself, and the singularity still opens, and then Eddie gets sucked in. So me alone thinks that Eddie's gonna get sucked in. You don't just get sucked into a singularity and say bye bye in a comic book world. You are coming back, and I think he's gonna be Professor Zoom.
I disagree.
I think he's coming back. I think he's gonna be Cobalt Blue.
I disagree with
Either
both,
one.
Yeah.
I disagree with both of you.
I think he's just dead.
I disagree with all three of you, and this is the reason why. Eddie kills himself. That means that Dr. Wells never exists, which means that Barry's mom had never died, which means that Barry has never become the Flash,
And Wells
which
never
means
died.
that all of these situations had never happened, which means that Eddie had never killed himself, which
Means Eobard Thawne is still
means-
alive.
No, which means that the whole thing is the universe is correcting itself, which is why the wormhole opens up. So the only way to fix it is to just, I guess, fix everything. And
But the thing is,
It
if
all
you're
gets
saying,
fucked up.
what you're saying
So-
is true.
so Eddie, while trying to be the hero, in the end actually fucked everything up.
Yeah,
So-
because it caused that. So let's say Eddie kills himself, Eobard Thawne fades away, Barry's life resets, Barry lives his life, Harrison Wells never gets his essence taken, the particle accelerator goes the way it's supposed to. Then, if Barry lives his life normally, Eddie never has an excuse to kill himself. If Eddie's not dead, Harrison Wells eventually, 130 years in the future, becomes born, does his reverse Flash thing, still goes back in time. The whole thing is cyclical.
But it still contradicts itself because had he done what he's supposed to do, this still happens, and then it still...
I think the plot device that they're using...
There's so many different...
I think the plot device that they're using...
There's so many different ways that it
Barry
can go.
running into the singularity at the end.
So
I think what that's going to do is send him in a completely different timeline. Anyway, completely side note, CGI budget, what's up? There was buildings
that was pretty good.
snapping in half and going into the singularity. Yeah. Some of the best CGI I've seen. It's great.
I like to believe that, the last thing that we see is Flash literally going into the portal, in a sense. I think he's getting to the Legends show.
It obviously is because Hawkgirl's there.
Yeah.
I think Rip Hunter pops out.
I did like that we did see Hawkgirl too. Like they threw that in there.
Like you said, it opens up so many possibilities. It also, with Legends, we know that they're going to be fighting... Through time. We also know that they're going to be their main nemesis is Vandal Savage. Who does Vandal Savage first appear in? He appears in the Wally West Flash comics.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I know Wally West is going to be in next season.
So, well, they already had a casting call.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, there you go. Even more so.
That's one thing I want to bring up. They had a casting call. It was leaked that they had a casting call.
Leaked.
Back in, December, January-ish. Yeah. It was a while back. So they've already had that in mind. And then because I was like, okay, well, maybe they will, maybe they won't. And then once they had Vandal Savage as the Legends villain, I'm like, okay, that's why
Wally West fights Vandal Savage and Young Justice. So, you know what?
They're probably tying it in. And they're going to tie it in.
Oh, they will tie it in.
There's so many different ways. We could honestly talk about this
for hours.
So, because there's so many different ways
to not do this, let's kick off the grading segment of this.
No, yeah, let's. We're not going to keep on this because, again, we could just keep going back and forth, back and forth,
I have 3 hours of theories myself.
So, so many different ways it can go. Great finale, great season. So right now, we're going to grade Flash Season 1. What did we think? I'll start off. A, that's my grade.
Yep. So Flash is way more ambitious than any show I've seen on TV. The way they did it, they obviously have to start hokey as a character development plot. It really ramped up and the gradient of it kept getting better. I give it an A+, hands down. I think it's the best comic book show on TV. I think it surpasses Daredevil. I think it surpasses a lot of things. It's way more ambitious. Ambitious storytelling is A+.
So you guys are gonna hate me a little bit. I absolutely love this season. I think I had some serious issues with single episodes, not necessarily the plot line as a whole, but single episodes. So I am gonna give it an A-.
No, that's arguable. That's not arguable.
I completely agree with you. I see. It started off very corny and slow.
Right. Give it 13 episodes, it would be the best, hands down.
Devin?
The best. No.
I too was gonna give it an A-.
Okay.
You beat me to the punch.
No, I think that makes it an A. Right?
I think that's
still an A.
It makes it an A. I'll have to grade it out, but it makes it either an A- or an A, somewhere around there.
I'm pretty sure it's
low A-.
Yep.
Round it with a curve.
It's so good. It's the best. It's so faithful to comic book lore.
All right.
It's crazy.
It's not as good as Arrow Season 2, and it's not as good as Daredevil.
We're not comparing.
It is very close. We will see what happens. It's not.
Tell us in the comments down below which ones you think.
But we will see what happens in Season 2.
In the comments below, give us your grade.
Stay tuned. We do not have that many other review shows this week. We are still reviewing Game of Thrones, kind of. And
sort of.
And we have other new segments and other segments. Just check out our channel. Like, favorite, subscribe. We will see you on our other channel.
This is the best ever.
Watch us this week.
Goddamn good.
Tuesday. Twitch Tuesday. We're starting Twitch Tuesdays this week. Check it out.
The Witcher?